Alright then, my dear friends, today we have an insane reveal from the Rise of Skywalker comic adaptation. It took them 6 years to release this. I've skimmed through all 5 issues, and generally speaking I would say it's pretty true to the movie. There were a couple of surprises, a couple of additional scenes, there was some extra Empress Palpatine stuff, just a new look at the dark side Rey, but if you know the movie, you're not going to find this wildly different. But in the final issue they've kind of bamboozled us. During the Battle of Exegol, when Rey fights Palpatine, she finally hears the voices from the Jedi of the past, and one of them was Ahsoka Tano. And this led fans to wonder, to this very day, if this means by the time of episode 9, Ahsoka is dead. Dave Filoni himself responded and said, just because you hear her voice, it doesn't mean she's gone. And ever since he said this, Star Wars fans have had a plethora of theories to explain how Ahsoka contacts Rey. Is it forced telepathy from elsewhere in the galaxy? Is she stuck in the world between worlds? Does she use a mechanism like the Seeing Stone of Tython? And since the Ahsoka show came out, fans want to know if she's still stuck on Peridea by the time of the sequels. Is she fully the new Daughter of Mortis by that point? A ton of questions and a ton of possibilities. But you know guys, Dave Filoni never letting Ahsoka truly die has become something of a meme, and it all kind of originated in Star Wars Rebels. Should Ahsoka have died at the hands of Darth Vader? Plenty of fans say yes. And with all of the Mandoverse content, Ahsoka Season 2 coming up, the Mortis stuff, her transforming into Ahsoka the White, Dave Filoni's future movie, Ahsoka isn't going anywhere. And to an extent, I'm fine with it, but eventually, she will have to pass on. And so that brings us on to today's revelation. Even though Dave said Ahsoka's voice in episode 9 doesn't mean squat, it doesn't mean she's dead, the artist didn't get the memo. Unlike the movie which just gave us the voices, we see the full Force ghosts of many Jedi of the past. Some of them don't make sense. Luminara Unduli, Ki-Adi-Mundi, Kit-Fisto Plo Koon, Jedi who never learned the ability to become a Force spirit. But I guess that wasn't really the point. I mean, some people theorize it wasn't even those Jedi talking to Rey, it was the living Force, trying to encourage her. And some fans even say it was Palpatine messing with her mind, trying to get her to strike him down. Whichever way you interpret it, the comic gives us the physical manifestations of some of those Jedi. And one of them is Ahsoka, standing next to Kanan Jarrus. So she's not Ahsoka the White, she looks more like Ahsoka in The Mandalorian Season 2. And by the way, for anyone saying this is Shakti, it isn't. They're both Togrutas, but Shakti was red, and her lightsaber was blue. The artist very clearly wanted this to be Ahsoka, not to guarantee that Ahsoka is dead, but because she was one of the voices that spoke to Rey. What's interesting is some of the Jedi depicted weren't even in the movie, didn't have a single vocal cameo to encourage Rey. But Ahsoka's vocal line was very important. After Aayla Secura says, "Let it guide you," Ahsoka adds the line, "as it guided us." Now look, in 2025, I don't trust the canonicity of every Star Wars comic. Even if this is the adaptation of a canon movie, the comics love to flip-flop. Do you really think he'd allow a comic to inform you that his favorite character is dead? There's no chance. There is absolutely no way. I wouldn't read too deeply into it, it's just a cool artistic choice. And since, in other Star Wars stories, Lucasfilm has offered a couple of clues to explain how Force voices manifest. An important one is found in the novel The Battle of Jeddah. 350 years before the Skywalker saga, it features a scene in which Jedi Master Salandra Sho experiences Force visions at the Temple on Jeddah. It's the Force that grants her these visions, and these include one of her deceased Padawan. This is important because it confirms there is a netherworld of the Force, like Qui-Gon spoke about, an afterlife where all beings retain their consciousness. But the Force can also show Jedi manifestations of things they want to see. The book also notes the visions contain a seed of truth. In the case of the Rise of Skywalker, Exegol is a vergence in the Force, a place where the veil between life and death, the barrier between the physical world and the netherworld, is unnaturally thin. This is why Exegol was coveted by the ancient Sith, who believed they could use it to find a way to conquer death. It's the reason the Emperor was resurrected there. So whether it was really Jedi from ages past or just the Force that was helping Rey, I don't think Ahsoka is dead. Maybe Dave Filoni will kill off Ahsoka before Rise. She would be quite old by then. But I have a feeling putting her in the second galaxy was something of a convenience. Maybe eventually if she never returns, her friends back home like Hera and Ezra truly believe she's dead. It doesn't mean she is. let's wait to see what Ahsoka Season 2 does. So, let's go through the final pages of the comic as if we were watching the movie. This is Star Wars Meg's adaptation of the last moments in the Battle of Exegol. Rey and Ben stood together. The Emperor, realizing they are dired in the Force, tries to draw upon their life power. In what seems like her final moments, Rey calls upon the Jedi of the past, as she did during her training, only this time, they answered. Rey whispered, "Be with me." Then she hears the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi. "These are your final steps, Rey. Rise and take them." Rey, 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 all different voices from a bygone era. Then she hears the voice of the Chosen One, Anakin Skywalker, Ben Solo's grandfather redeemed from darkness. "Bring back the balance, Rey, as I did." Then the voice of Luminara and Julie. "In the night, find the light, Rey. You're not alone, Rey. Alone, never have you been. Every Jedi who ever lived lives in you. The Force surrounds you, Rey. In the heart of a Jedi lies her strength. Rise in the Force, Rey. Rise, Rey." And finally, the voice of Luke Skywalker. "Rey, the Force will be with you. Always." In a final showdown, Palpatine declares, "Let your death be the final word in the story of rebellion. You are nothing. A scavenger girl is no match for the power in me. I am all the Sith." And then the moment from the movie, with a slight change that we see all of the Force ghosts, Rey answers him, "And I am all the Jedi." I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I found Palpatine's death a bit too comedic. And while they didn't need to show all of the Jedi like this, imagine how powerful it would have been to see Hayden Christensen, just like in the Ahsoka show. Fans would have gone berserk. At this point, the Kenobi show hadn't come out yet. We didn't know if we were ever going to see Anakin again. This would have been so pleasing to prequel fans. For the final installment of the Skywalker saga, they absolutely should have done this. Just my 2 cents. So then, Rey dies, but Ben Solo brings her back to life, sacrificing his own in the process. And then, with Ben redeemed, another change from the movie is we see a flashback to Luke's Jedi Temple, Ben's childhood, him holding a holocron, learning the ways of the Force from his uncle, before he turned to the dark side as Kylo Ren. And in the final celebration of the Resistance, when Chewie finally gets a medal from Maz Kanata, the spirits of Luke and Leia are watching them. Same with the most controversial moment right at the end. "There's been no one for so long," says the old woman on Tatooine. "Who are you?" "I'm Rey." And that's when she looks into the distance and she sees the ghosts of the twins, Luke and Leia, her former master. And then, the moment which fans find a bit cringe, she says, "Rey Skywalker," and that's how it ends. So, I'm not the biggest fan of Rise in either form, the movies or the comics, but the art style was a bit better in this one. Star Wars comics have had some shady moments in recent years, and this one wasn't too bad. But do I think Ahsoka is really dead? Maybe, but I wouldn't say this confirms it. The character is Dave Filoni's baby. He's the one who's going to make that decision.